property and second one is property manager. These two tabs are very useful while creating features and sketches. In the SolidWorks, whenever we have to sketch, we need a plane because 2D sketches can be created on the planes only. There are two options. We can create 2D sketch or 3D sketch. As you can see here, this sketch, this tool is for the 2D sketch and this tool is for the 3D sketch. But we will learn 3D sketch later. So first of all, click on the sketch, and these three planes are by default in the SolidWorks. Later we will also learn how we can create our custom planes because these three planes are not enough to create any part model. So let's start. I'm choosing top plane for example. So as I choose top plane, this plane automatically rotated to the normal to the screen, and these here you can see the option of exit sketch. Now we have to create a sketch, and whenever our sketch get completed, we have to click on the exit sketch. So at the first, I'm starting with the line tool. This is the basic tool, but whenever you click any tool here, this property manager tree will automatically turn on. Means whatever tool you are creating or whatever geometry you are creating, you can modify the property of that particular shape in the properties toolbar. So here is the shape of here is the option of our orientation, and here edge sketch is selected. Means if I click, either I click, line will be created. But if I press escape and again if I'm clicking line tool, so if I choose horizontal, only horizontal lines can be created. So line will no longer can be created on the other side. But there are few options I would like to explain. Edge sketched. This option is very much useful because everybody use this option because these relations can be added later. I will explain. So if I create a single line in the solid modeling, there are few rules that will be followed or that is followed everywhere, or there are very compulsory. That is, we have to create fully defined sketches. First rule: to create fully defined sketches, we have to apply two kind of relations. First relation is called sketch, हम बोल सकते हैं इसको. These are the geometric relations and dimensional relations. Or people will also call it constraints. So we have to apply geometrical constraints and dimensional constraints. And as you define both the constraints, here the option will change to fully defined. Here it is written underdefined, it will automatically change to fully defined. So for any sketch you have to do this. Before creating any sketch, we have to define the units in which we are working right now. So here is it is the mmgs. So we are working in the millimeter gram second, and you can change it to centimeter, millimeter, inches, and these are different types of units. But SolidWorks is a very advanced software. So if I am working in the millimeter, even if you are working in the millimeter, and if you want to put your length in the inches, you can do that. It will be done by inbuilt calculator of the SolidWorks. I will explain. But first we have to see how we can fully define the lines for any sketch. So again I am creating a line. Now you can see, if I click on this point or hold left mouse button, you can stretch this line, you can rotate this line. So this line is not defined anymore. So we have to define first of all geometrical constraints. Means if I click this line in the properties toolbar, as you can say, add relations. Three relations can be added to this line. As we take any selection, this relation will be changed. So if I click on the horizontal, means now geometric relations has been added. So here it is horizontal symbol means now this line will be horizontal always. So if I click on this and hold this. You can see line is no longer rotating now, but it is stretching. So we have to apply dimensional constraint for that. So for apply to dimensional constraint, click on the sketch dimension button. Click on the line. Again, one more click to modify this dimension. And you can modify this dimension. Like it is 139. If I put 100, okay, and okay. So now this line is 100 mm, and as you can see, now this line can be moved, but this is no longer stretching or rotating. The one thing that is remaining, the location from the origin. So we have to define the location of this line from the origin. So again, click on the smart dimension. If I click the origin and this point, and if I specify distance between these 2 points is like 40. So as you can see, now this line can be moved in the z direction. Again, I am specifying one more dimension to this point. For example, I am putting 40 over here. So as you can see now, it is fully defined. Means location is defined and the length is also defined. So this line cannot be moved, rotate, nothing. This is called the fully defined sketches. And if any sketch get fully defined, it will convert into the blue color. So if you see any sketch in the blue color, and then that means this sketch is underdefined. If there are any sketch in black color, means it is fully defined. So this is the basic fundamental, or I can say, rule of the SolidWorks. Now I'm letting you know the other rules and how you can add the geometric relations. Geometric relations depends on the selection. For example, if I select both lines, I am selecting first line, control, and other line. So if I select both lines, these relations can be added. Earlier you saw that if I select one line, there were only three relations, that were horizontal, vertical, and fixed. But now there are more relations for both of these. If I click collinear, both lines will be collinear. If I click right click and delete, and again if I click perpendicular, so both line will be perpendicular to each other. So as you can see, the existing relation is, I am deleting it again, and if I click equal, both line will be equal no matter what the dimension is. If I change dimension of one line, other will be automatically updated. 20, as you can see, because geometric relations works. So now in the next option, I am taking one line and one point, and let's see what relations we can add. If I select one line and one point, we can add three relations again. Midpoint means this point will be coincident to the midpoint of this line. Coincident means this point will be coincident to this line, not at the midpoint. Means you can move this line along this line and it will be coincident. And there were one more option, fix. Fix means it will be fixed at the right position it is. Means we can't modify the length, we can't move it along the sketch, nothing. So we don't have to fix any sketches right now. Again, if I select multiple points, like if I select one point and the another point, then as you can see, the relations are different. You can make both the points vertical, both the point horizontal, and you can merge both points. If I click horizontal, as you can see, both points are horizontal to each other. If I select merge, so both points will be merged. Center point or origin point is also considered as a point, so we can merge any point to this origin also, like this. Coincident. So both are coincident. Again, if I take line and if I start with this point, as you can see, in the near of pencil, there is a blue, yellow symbol of coincident. Means if I click on this point, coincident would be automatically added. Now these points are coincident. Now if I, as you can see, now yellow symbol of horizontal at the near of pencil. So if I click, it means if I click on this point or anywhere on this line, a horizontal relation will be added automatically. So these symbols mean these relations will be automatically added. So as you can see, coincident, horizontal or vertical, these relations added, and now I can define the length only, and the complete sketch will be fully defined. If I take 50, if I type 50, and again 50, and sketch is black, and as you can see, fully defined. Now, last option for the line. If you are creating a line by click and click, then this line will be continuous. As you can see, click, 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 click. Means if you want to create another line, you have to press escape, then again have to click on the line tool. But line have a feature, means if you hold down left mouse button, then you can create discontinued lines like this. You don't need to press escape every time. One more feature. If you are creating a line and you need a arc at the end point of this line, then you don't need to press escape. Just come back to the last point, and if you, as you can see, arc, you can create arc directly. So these are the feature of the line tool, and you can see a tangent relation is also added. So let's move to the another tools. Next tool is center line. Center line is created for the reference, and the same method is followed for to create center line. But there is one feature that can, for example, if I've created a line and I want to create this line into the center line, so you can do that. Click on the line, properties manager, and here is the option for the construction. Click on the tick mark and this line will be converted into the center line. So no issue. Again, the third option is midpoint line. This option is not available in SolidWorks 2014. So if I start creating a line, it will start with the midpoint and will be distributed in the both direction equally. So this is the midpoint. Next tool is circle. There are two types of circle. First one is center, and again when I can say 3 point circle in the language of AutoCAD. So as you can see, there are two types of circle. First one is center, and again is 3 point circle. So if I take circle, click and click. First one, first you have to create a sketch. So if I click on the circle, you can see in the properties manager I can define the radius 20. So I can define the radius, but this radius is not a constraint. Means if I define 20, it will become 20 circle of 20 radius, 10 radius now. But this is not constant, so it can modify anytime. So there are difference between applying a constraint or a dimension. So if I want to apply a constraint, again you have to click on the smart dimension. So here you can put the diameter. So if I click 20, or if I put down 20, 20 is the diameter. Now this circle cannot be modified. Uh, as you can see, this can be moved, but dimension of the circle will be 20. Again, the sketch is underdefined because we have specified the diameter of the circle, but not the position with the origin. So again, if I click on this point or hold down control this point, so I can click coincident, or I can directly drag it to the this origin. So if I release my left mouse button here, a coincident relation will be automatically added. So as you can see, sketch is now black and it is fully defined also. These relations or these dimension can be modified later by double clicking on it. 50, 50 radius, 50 diameter. Again, if I talk about the 3 point circle, this is similar to the AutoCAD. If you click on these 3 points, circle will be created passing through these 3 points. Again, you can define the diameter and the center point location to make it fully defined. You can do it, right? Next tool is rectangle. There are 5 methods of to create rectangle, but in the starting of 4, let's see. If I start with the corner rectangle, you can click two corners, corner and corner, and the rectangle will be created. Again, you have to define the dimension. So it's not dimension. And the location. So if I hold down this point and release this point on the origin, the coincident will be added, and this is fully defined. Again, our next tool is center point rectangle. So this rectangle will start with the center, and the same method is to define it. If there any tool or any sketch, if you find that you can't define that, you can ask me on the chat section, or you can ask directly question. 3 point rectangle. Same rectangle, but it takes first all length and all width. Complete length and complete width. So there are different method of creating this, but there is only one method to define it. And if I take 3 point center rectangle means it will start with the center, and first it will take half length and half width. These options are available for the properties manager, but as you know, if you want to apply a dimensional constraint, then you have to use smart dimension. So don't need this. Again, parallelogram. This is important because in the previous methods you can't apply angle, but if you want to apply angle between the so parallelogram, I am starting parallelogram with this point, first length, and again point this one. So what you have to define is the length and the width and the angle. So 70. As you know, this is underdefined because we haven't specified or the angle yet. So if I put angle value, it will be defined 45. For example, fully defined. Now it is fully defined. Now I was talking about a inbuilt calculator of the SolidWorks. Now I'm telling you, if you want to, for example, if I take a line and I want to make this line 4 inches long. So as you know, we are in the mmgs unit, and if I want to put a value in the inches, so what you have to do is simply put 4 and you have to type in, enter. So it will become 4 inches long. 4 inches long means 101.60 mm. It will be automatically converted. So no issue. And even if you have some kind of small calculations, like if I want to make this line 90 plus 65 minus 85, you can write directly on this tab and enter. It will calculate for you. So this is the inbuilt calculator for the SolidWorks. They're very good feature because sometimes if I work on the, I use this tool very much in the sheet metal because I have to specify some dimensions in the inches and some dimensions in the mm. So if you are working in the IGS and I mean uh, IPS unit, so you are working in the inches and feet, or if you want to put input in the mm, you just have to write mm in the IPS mode. So SolidWorks will automatically convert all the units in the desired unit system. Again, moving forward to the next tool, and one more thing I want to tell you to the Bhiwadi center. Sir, it is not allowed to without your webcam is off. I am waiting for few minutes only. But if you didn't turn on your webcam, then alright, I am moving ahead. So next tool is arc. So here is the three types of arcs. First one is center point arc. If you have worked on the AutoCAD, you know about the AutoCAD, then this arc is center start end in the term of AutoCAD. So if you take center point arc, you have to first specify center point, then starting point of the arc, and the end point of the arc. But how will you define the arc? For to fully define the arc, you have to specify the radius, the opening angle. Let's start. So I am putting this center point of the arc on the origin. So holding down this point to the origin. So both the points are coincident right now. Again, you have to take a smart dimension over here, and I can define the radius 60. I have defined the radius, but and it is still underdefined because I don't know when this at what angle this point is starting and how much the opening should be. So what you have to do is you can't put angle directly between the points, so you have to create lines, not lines, center lines. So I'm creating center line from this point to the center to the end point. Now I can define the angle between 2 points. For example, I am putting it 70 degree. So 70-degree opening, all right, but still underdefined because this 70-degree angle or this arc can be anywhere in this path. So what I have to define the orientation. I can do one thing for if I want to make it simply, I can click on this line and I can apply a horizontal relation on this. If I put horizontal relation on this, means this line is horizontal and the next point is 70 degree away from this. So it is fully defined now. But what if you want to apply a angle on this line? Then you have to create one more line for this. So I am deleting this relation. Select horizontal and delete. Again, take a center line. Now there is a difference. If you take a line, for example, sometimes it may be that you choose line, and if I create one more line over here, then I can define the angle. But look at here. I have defined 50 degree. All right. So this arc is starting at the 15 degree, but it is underdefined because this line is calculated as a real entity in this object. So what you have to do is you have to create this line center line because we have created this line only for the reference. So click on the for construction. Okay. So now this is the center line. We took a reference of 15 degree here, and it is fully defined now. All right. Next tool. The next tool is tangent arc. But if you take tangent arc, you can't click anywhere because a tangent arc created can be created if you have a sketch already. So I am creating a line, and at the endpoint of this line you can create the tangent arc, and this tangent arc will be tangent to this line. As I have told you earlier, this arc can be created by line tool only, line tool also, because line tool has an inbuilt feature to create an arc. As you can see, if I take line, I'm coming back to this point and arc, and it is the tangent arc. So both features are there. You can use both of them or any of them. Again, 3 point arc, the most useful arc in the SolidWorks, because in the AutoCAD in the SolidWorks we can't create a circle with tangent radius. So we can create 3 point arc and use it as tangent circle. So to create 3 point arc, first point, second point, and third point, arc is defined with the 3 point. We can't now to make it fully defined again. We have to specify the radius. We have to specify the opening angle and all these things that I have created on this. So the method is same to define this, and how it is very useful because whenever you want to create, for example, I'm creating a circle over here and a circle over here. I want to create a circle or a arc that is tangent to both these points. So I can start with 3 point arc. What you have to do is just click on this circumference and the random third point. After doing this, you can select the circumference, you can select the arc, and you can apply the tangent over here. And one more thing I would like to tell you that whenever you want to apply a relation, there is a floating toolbar that appears at the time of selection. That is for the time saving. You can use that. If I click on this arc and this circle, if I release the control button, you can see the floating toolbar. You can use these relations from here also. So both relations are added. Now I can trim this out or whatever I want to do, I can do that. Now the next option is slot. Slot is the combination of two circles and two lines. But if I use these tools, it will save over time. So straight slot. There are four types of slot. Actually, there are two types of slot, but there are four methods. Two methods for each. So if I want to create a straight slot, there are two methods: straight slot first one and the center point straight slot. So I'm starting with the straight slot. Click on the straight slot and click that length and the radius. To make it fully defined, obviously we have to define the length of this slot and the radius of this circle. Or I can also specify the distance between this center line to this line. Both are the same thing. So let's start. Oops. I can do one thing, click control and control uh, coincident. So both points are coincident. Now smart dimension, total length, 50, and the radius. It is fully defined directly because this gap is hello. Are you asking something?
No, sir.
All right. Just 1 minute. Yeah. Okay. So again, the next tool is there. Center point arc slot. Center point straight slot. So this is the same as the center midpoint line. So click on this point and this line will distribute it equally both sides. The method is different to create the slot, but the same method is same to define it. So I can define the location and the dimension. You can do it, right? Can you define it? ऐसे गर्दन तो हिला दो. I can मैं देख सकता हूँ.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So 3 point arc slot. 3 point arc slot. This is the same as 3 point arc. So 3 point to define the arc of the slot, and one more click to define this radius. Again, how will you define this? To define this, first we have to define this the internal arc. So click on this point and define the origin first of all. Center line because we need it, and smart dimension. So click on this arc, and first one we have to define this arc. For example, I'm taking 70. Then this arc. This SolidWorks is a little bit slow because the package of this SolidWorks 2019 is too heavy. Anyway, now it is underdefined because we haven't specified the angle between these two lines. So smart dimension again. Oh, as you can see, a relation perpendicular. So in both the lines, a perpendicular relation is automatically added. That's why we cannot add another relation. So if you want to specify an angle, we have to delete this relation.
हाँ जी.
So I have deleted it. Again, smart dimension.
अच्छा अच्छा. हाँ जी हाँ जी. अच्छा भाई मेरी मेरी ना ट्रेनिंग चल रही है, मैं तुम्हें थोड़ी देर बाद कॉल करा. ठीक है जी.
So I can put any angle as I want. 60. And last option. Now it is fully defined. So there are one more extra step to define this radius, and the method is same as the radius. I mean arc. So another method is like center point arc slot. Again, you are creating an arc with the center start end, and you are creating a slot. So both methods are same. You can do it. I think you can define it, right?
ओके.
Next option is polygon. In the AutoCAD, we know there are two methods: inscribed and circumscribed. Here also there are two methods: is inscribed and circumscribed. But these option doesn't matter here because we can put dimension with the help of smart dimension. So whatever option you choose here, it won't affect it. It won't affect the geometry. Let's see how. If I take 5 sides and I create a polygon here, because the inscribed circle was selected, a circle is created internally of this polygon. But click OK. So as you can see, whenever we specify inscribed circle, it means the distance between this center point to the mid of this line is equal to the radius of the circle. So we can put dimension like this. Either we can put the radius of this circle, or we can also change. Click here and click here. Both are the same thing. And if I want to specify distance between the center point to the to the corner of this polygon, I can also do that. And if I want to specify a particular length of a edge, I can also do that. So no matter which type of polygon you are creating, you can put any kind of dimension here. But if I specify 100 here, it is still underdefined. There is only one reason that it can be rotated. So we have to stop its rotation. That's all. So either you can specify an angle, or I'm just putting this line horizontally and it is fully defined. Again, the next tool is spline. There are three type of spline in the SolidWorks. First one is spline, style spline, and the equation driven curve. Splines are the curve, but every curve have a equation. Without equation, we can't define and like a spline we can say, because if you put any equation, it will generate a curve. So let's start. Both the options, spline and style spline, can be used to trace any object. If you put any like in the surface modeling, generally people do uh, they put a image on this sketch module and they trace the image. So we can also do that, but let's see how these tools works. So first one is spline. In the term of AutoCAD, these splines are called like spline CV and spline fit. So I'm creating both the splines, and now then we will see what is the difference. So style spline. So in the language of AutoCAD, this spline is called AutoCAD spline fit, and this spline is called spline CV, because this spline is controlled with the vertices that is outside of this edge. This vertices is like in the tangent direction of this curve, and we can modify that. We can control the spline, and the curvature is also more smooth. But in the SolidWorks, this kind of spline is more used because in the spline fit, in the spline, there are more options than AutoCAD. In the AutoCAD, we can only move the points that are on the edge. But in the SolidWorks, there is one more tool that is called like a control handle. You can say if you have worked on the Photoshop, you may know this. With the help of this handle, we can adjust this curvature. Like we can rotate it around this point. We can stretch. So it let you control or trace any object. So whenever it comes to splines, or I can say surfaces, this tool is very much used because you can create any kind of shape with the help of these tools and these points. You can modify it. And even these splines is also can be fully defined by putting dimensions and restrictions through these handles. Like if I create, for example, if I create a spline with my few points, like I have created a spline with 3 points. I can define it. Obviously, what we have to do is we have to stop this spline to move in any direction. So again, smart dimension, you can put these points like uh, this point is 300 mm away. For example, it may be that both points are horizontal to each other. It may be. So I am doing this horizontal. This is also possible that if I take the horizontal distance between 2 points is 50, maybe 70. Let's see how can I define it. Again, 125. These are the random values. As you can see under defined. Whenever you want to check which dimension is remaining or which constraints should be added, you can do simple one thing. Hold this geometry and move it. You will know which dimension is missing. As you can see, it can slide along the x. Means we have to define the x length. Hmm. Still it is underdefined means we haven't specified the total distance between both these points. What should be the opening? I don't know, but I'm taking it random. So as I specify it, it is fully defined. Simple. If you don't want to apply these relations over here, you can also specify the angle of the handles like this handle. Let's see if I can assume that I want to uh, make this handle like this. So what I have to do is simply create a center line and angle. This line and this handle. As you can see, I can put angle. Still underdefined because if whenever you start or whenever you apply angle of in this handle, you can see I can move this handle with the same angle on this direction. So what I have to do is I also have to define the distance of this handle from these points. Mm, it will be like this. This is my dimension. So click on this and modify it. Now what is missing under define? Let me check. So this is little complicated to define the spline because we have specified one point. But whenever I click on this handle, look at this. This shape can be moved. Then still, we have to define the distance between 2 points. And now it is finally defined. But in the 90% of cases, you don't need to do this 160. But if anybody asks you that how to define the spline, you can do that. Now it is fully defined. So let's move to the another tool that is equation driven curve. And equation driven is curve are the curve that is created with the equation. So there are two types of equation or two methods to create equation driven. First one is explicit, second one is parametric. So in the explicit, we have to enter only one equation. And the parametric, we have to enter two equations. And the parameters for both these are different. For the explicit, the parameter is x. For the parametric, the parameter will be t. So let's see how this works. If I take explicit and if I put any equation over here, for example, I take a simple equation like sin x. So on the replacement of x, we have to take theta like. We have to take x. So sin x. So now what we have to do is we have to specify the value of x from x1 to x2. These are the limits. So if I take 0 to 10, let's see what is created right now. Look at here. A curve is created because whenever we put sine 0, it will be 0. So it is started with the 0, and we know the equation of the sine x goes to the plus 1 to the minus 1. So curve is generated. If you increase the value, this curve will be increased. This is the simple equation, but you can what you can do, you can put any equation to create path or like. Now how it is useful? The question is how it is useful. I have created an sketch and I have created an spline because I can't create this kind of spline as accurate as it is. So in the some kind of industries, they use equations to make a perfect object. For example, in the I can say the industry like that create the aeroplane wings. Aeroplane wings cannot be created without equations because there are too much perfection I can say. So they generally put in equations, so curve will be automatically generated and they can use that curve. If they use the same equation to create another object, the curvature will be same. That can be that cannot be changed. So this is the simple method, or I can also show you the curve that you can't create with these tools. These tools. So in the 3D sketch modeling, whenever I'll teach you 3D sketch, I will show you the 3D sketch created by the equation driven curve that cannot be created normally with the spline and style spline. So let's see. You will understand that in the 3D sketch. Let's see, the next tool is spline equation driven curve, and if I take parametric equation, then we have to add two equations. So parametric equation, click on the parametric and you have to put two equations. I have to put it randomly, but it requires lot of equations. Like if I see, I have equations. Let me check if I have any equation written on this. These are the random equations. Now if I put the value of t like the 1, 0 to 1, let's see if anything is created. No, means my value is wrong. Minus 1 to 10, or I can say minus 10 to. By mistake, it is clicked on this icon. Oh, minus. So these are the random equations. As you can see, it is not working at all. I don't. Yeah, you can see. If I put point 1 to the point 8, a curve. As you can see, there is a curve, and this curvature is being defined by both the equations. If I change the value, you can see the curve is being modified. 5, you can see. So for example, we can understand, for example, if I want to create this kind of sketch, so both these equations will create this sketch. Simple. Both the equations are random, but for the part modeling, particular sketch I use. So whenever I'll put the same equation and the same value in any software, so the similar sketch will be created. So it cannot be changed. There are too much perfection, I can say. So this is called equation driven curve. Simple. Got it.
Yes, sir.
Next tool is uh, text. So if I want to create any text, this is a simple tool. Click on the text and you can create any text here. Aman is written over here, but if I want to make it bold, you can select the text, you can click on the bold, you can click on the icon or italic bold, and you can rotate it also. But if you want to change the dimension or you can see height of this text, you have to untick this option, use document font, and click on the font. After that, you can modify the font, you can modify the size, you can modify everything. I'm not changing the font here, but the size. If I take 10 units, okay, now this is 10 units height. So I've created a simple text. It can be moved also anywhere. But there is one more option. As you can see, these options are not even highlighted. Nothing. So this option will be highlighted if you select an curve. So on this box, select any curve along which you want to create text. So if I take this curve, you can see this text is created along this curve. And this option is also highlighted. So it is for the left line. If I want to make this at the right line, so I can do that. If I want to center line, I can also do that. And if I want to distribute these text along this spline, so I can do that fit. So these texts are distributed along this part. If I want to uh, change the text, I mean to flip this, click on this. It will be on this side. And change the reverse order. You can also do that. Aman change swap. Okay. And after that, you can also delete the curve. So now it is written. Update failed. Okay. No issue. But you have got it. I know.
Yes, sir.
So I've deleted it. To rebuild, we have to press Ctrl and B. Next tool is point, and point is very much useful when you are creating pattern, circular pattern. But I will tell you after in few minutes later how it is used. But you can see whenever I want to create a point, you have to just click on this icon and click OK. And also points also have to be defined. So you can see under define. What you have to define is the location. Location to the origin. You can whenever you will specify the location to this point, it will be automatically defined. The next tool is fillet and chamfer. Both tools are pretty much easy. If you see any corner, you can use fillet and chamfer. So use fillet. You have to click on the sketch fillet. Just put the dimension of the radius. And you can select either two lines or a vertex point. If I select a vertex point, or if I click this line and this line, both methods can be used. So fillet. This fillet is further modified, can be modified by double clicking on it. 20. So modified. Next tool is chamfer. In the chamfer, there are two methods: angle distance and distance distance. If you take distance, a option to equal distance is clicked. That's why only one option is there. If you untick this, you can change both the values. And if you have entered both the values, click on this corner, as you can see, both the chamfers. And if you take the angle distance option, you have to specify one angle and one distance. 10 and 45, I take 10 and 35, 30. So let's click on the another icon and let's see how it happens. So I am clicking on this corner, and as you can see, 30 and 10. Simple. These are the chamfer and fillet. Next tool is line circle, rectangle, spline arc. ये सब slot हो चुके. Submit all. Sketch modifying tools. All right. इसको बंद लेके आना. कर दो. Hmm. I think you know about the trim entities. So there are five options to trim any entities, and the AutoCAD use this trim to closures by default. So if I take this option, means whenever you click on this sketch, it will be trimmed. Same option. If you take the corner option, means you have to click on two lines, and after the corners, extended lines will be trimmed automatically. Like if I click on this and this one, the extended lines has been trimmed. The next option is trim away inside. So in this option, if you take this one, you have to select two lines. I am clicking the first line this one and second line this one. And now, if you click on the any line that no matter it is inside or outside this sketch or both the lines, it the internal lines will be trimmed. So if I click on this, the internal line is trimmed. If I click on this, still it is trimmed inside. So no matter where you click, only the internal lines will be trimmed in this option. And this is the reverse of this option. Let me control Z. कैडेस लुधियाना.
जी सर.
बैकग्राउंड नॉइस काफी ज्यादा आ रही है, मैं माइक को म्यूट कर देता हूँ आपके. ट्रिम. So if I take trim away outside, you just have to specify two lines. If I take both the lines, and again, no matter where do you click, the outside lines will be trimmed on the both side. So both are opposite to each other. Next option is power trim, the extremely used tool and trim tool in the SolidWorks. Generally, people use this because this is same as the fence option in the AutoCAD. You have to press, hold down left mouse button and create a line. Create a line, and whenever this line touches to any line, it will be trimmed. So at once there can be trimmed multiple lines. There is one more thing. In the AutoCAD, a single line cannot be trimmed until it is intersecting to other line or other object. But in the SolidWorks, this trim tool can delete a line also, trim also. So if I take this line like this one, so line is deleted. Means I can delete the complete geometry with the help of trim. But there is one advanced option. As you can see, I am no still I am holding left mouse button. So a red dot you can see here. This red dot is very much useful. For it may be that by mistake you have trimmed a wrong entity. Then what you have to do is you have to just go back to this red dot and it will be undo like this one. Undo, then undo, undo. Got it? So
Yes, sir.
pretty much useful. If you want to extend any line, let me check. Background noise. रघुवीर जी के यहाँ से आ रही है. मैं कर देता हूँ म्यूट. आपको जब भी पूछना हो कुछ भी आप चैट सेक्शन में लिख सकते हो या फिर अनम्यूट करके पूछ लेना. मैं म्यूट कर देता हूँ. Alright. So to extend any entities, click on the extend entities, but that object will be only extended if there is another object in front of that, or I can say to the object to get intersected. So it is extended. चाय पीना है तो आ सकते हो आप वैसे. So let's move to the next tool. Convert entity, I'll explain it later because this tool do not create any object, but whenever we work on the features and there is any solid entity existing, then this option is pretty much useful. I will tell you later. So offset entity is the same as the AutoCAD. Click on the offset entities and we have to specify offset distance, but there is only one difference. This tool is not continuous. You have to specify the offset distance and click on the line. And you can see only one line can be created at once. But there is one option. If you want to make two lines at one time, you can click on the offset entities and select bidirectional. So in the both direction, two lines will be created. If you want to offset this line but in the opposite direction, so you can click on the reverse, but there is already an object, so it is not working, but I can show you here. Like if I take this line, offset entities, and so yeah, it cannot be worked until you have selected bidirectional. Untick this and you can see option is highlighted. You can reverse the direction of the offset. There is one more option. You can create a cap over this over here if you want. So for example, if I take like offset entities, cape ends, select this one, cape ends, go turn on this cape end, and if I want to fill this gap with the arc or the lines, there is two options. If you take line, you can see this gap is filled with the line. If I take arc, this gap is filled with the arc. This is called the end cap. Next tool is mirror entities. There are two types of mirror in the SolidWorks: sketch entities. I'm only talking about the sketch entities because in the future there is also one tool that is called the mirror, but that is for the solid entities. I'm talking about the sketch entities. So in the sketch entities, the two tools are: first one is mirror entities and second one is dynamic mirror. You can't see dynamic mirror tool over here, but you can search the dynamic mirror tool either over here, or you can take it from the insert tab. Wait a minute, it is at the tools menu. Click on the tools, sketch tool, and the dynamic mirror. So let's see what is dynamic mirror and how this works. So first one, you have to create a line, and if you want to make this line as a dynamic mirror, then you go to the tools, sketch tools, and dynamic mirror, or I can directly search here dy, click. So and click on the line. Now you can see the symbol of this dynamic mirror. Now whatever you create at the left side or the right side of this sketch, it will be mirrored uh, in the real time. So this is called the dynamic mirror. Closed. And the mirror entities. Mirror entities is useful when you have already created some object. Center line, if I take a center line for the mirror line. I can also select the existing lines as a mirror line, but I am creating this one because I want to mirror these lines over here. So mirror entities, and there are two boxes: entities to mirror. You have to select entities for to mirror. I want to mirror all these four lines and mirror about. Click on this box and select the mirror line. Here it is the preview. Okay, mirror is done. Again, if I want to take the existing entity as a mirror line, click on the mirror entities, select the entities to mirror. I want to mirror all the entities and mirror about this line. I can do that. So this sketch is mirrored around along with this line. So I can also use the existing entities as the mirror line, no problem at all. Next option. Next option is linear sketch pattern. So pattern means you know already about the pattern. Means we are making copies of the objects. Simple. But in a particular manner or in a particular form. Means if I create random copies anywhere, that is copy. But if I create the copies and it create a form like rectangular form or circular form, that these are the pattern. 1 minute. Let me finish this. Okay. So I am taking this in a normal object like circle, and I want to make copy of this circle. So linear sketch pattern. There are two directions for this, x direction and y direction. By default it is selected. So x direction means this direction and y direction means this one. So what you have to do is and it is to pattern. Click on this box and click the circle and the preview. In the x direction the number of items is 2. So only one preview is there because the sketch itself also counted. So if I take 5 means there are 5 circles. But at the what distance we have to specify the gap like 50, or I can also increase that 130. So at the 150 there are 5 circles. But in the y direction there is no object because in the y direction the number of item is only 1. So this is option is also not highlighted. So increase the number of item like 3 2, and this option is highlighted. So now the number of row and columns has been defined and the distance also. So click OK. This is the linear pattern. If I want to make a circular pattern, then here it is trick. Like for example, I want to create the copies of this rectangle in a circular manner. They click on the circular sketch pattern and obviously sketch to pattern. I will take this rectangle. So 4 lines are selected, but in the point of the like axis of rotation, or you can see point of rotation, point 1. So center point is selected by default. We will change it. So first one we have to see the number of item over here. You have to change it whatever you want to make. The angle, 6 items should be distributed in the angle of 360, or I can change it like 270. So 6 items will be distributed in the angle of 270. Now you can see the 270 is calculated as clockwise direction. But what if I want to make it anti-clockwise? You have to click on this reverse icon like button. So it will be calculated anti-clockwise now, 270. Alright. If you click on this icon, yeah, this tool, equal spacing means in 270-degree, 6 items will be distributed equally. But if you untick this, you have to specify angle between each of them. For example, if I take 35 means 35, 35, 35, 35, 35. In each of these, the angle is 35. So this is pretty much easy, but it is not easy if I take a object like this one. For example, it may be I want to create copy of this star about this point. I'm creating a point here. Let's see. Even if I select the circular pattern and this entity 2, 3, 4, and 5, the center point is automatically selected. But how to select this point? Click on the sketch one, right click and delete, and click on the point. Now it is selected and you can define the number of items. Alright, so this is how this point is used. There are few more tools like move entities, sketch entities, scale entities, rotate entities, stretch entities. These tools are not very much useful, but I will explain all these. So let's see. First one is move entities. By default, you can move this sketch by dragging it. But if you don't, you can see the dimension is changing until you define the dimensions or you apply the smart dimensions. It will be changed. So if you don't want to change the dimensions, you have to use the move entities tool. Entities to move. I want to move all these four lines. So four lines are selected. There are two options to move the sketch. First one, we can move it according to the coordinate system. If you want to move it along the according to the coordinate system, you have to click on this x and y. So we can put the delta x value and delta y from this object. Another one is to from to. So you have to select a base point and the final point where you want to put it. Simple. Next one is copy. Again, the same method is there. You can select the entities to copy. You can take the point and copies will be created whenever you click. Again, rotate items. If you want to rotate this, select uh, base point and the rotation angle setting. So it will be rotated along the. Next one is scale entities. If you want to scale all these objects or so, what you have to do is select object, select the base point and the scale factor. If I want to make it twice, you can do that. So you know about the scale factor already. The scale factor is the ratio. You can also write it down in the form of formula like
सर आई हैव अ क्वेश्चन.
yeah.
सर अगर हम इस रेक्टेंगुलर को जब हम स्केल अब हमने विदाउट डायमेंशन किया तो इट्स ये इजीली हो जाता है, बट जब हम डायमेंशन के साथ करते हैं फिर ये स्केल नहीं होता सर.
क्योंकि वहां पे आपने पहले ही कंस्ट्रेंट लगा दिया. कंस्ट्रेंट का काम ये है कि वो आपको डिफाइन कर देगा कि अब ये मूव नहीं मतलब इसकी डायमेंशन चेंज नहीं हो सकती
ओके.
है ना. तो उस केस में क्या होता है कि आइदर हम काम में लिए इक्वेशंस जो हम
हाँ
काम में
जी.
लेते हैं एडवांस मॉडलिंग में, जिसमें क्या होता है कि हम हर एक रिलेशन को दूसरे रिलेशन के साथ लिंक कर सकते हैं. जो आप ऑटोकेड में इस चीज को बोलते हैं पैरामीट्रिक मॉडलिंग.
ओके सर.
पहली चीज. दूसरी चीज आप ये कर सकते हो कि अगर आपने स्मार्ट डायमेंशन पहले से लगा दिया तो
हाँ
स्मार्ट
जी.
डायमेंशन पे डबल क्लिक करके वो डायमेंशन मॉडिफाई हो सकती है.
ओके सर.
तो वो मेथड होता है.
ओके सर.
इसीलिए तो मैंने कहा कि अगर ये जब तक डायमेंशन को डिफाइन नहीं किया तब तक आप इसमें ये चीज कर सकते हो.
ओके सर.
ये ऑप्शन बहुत ज्यादा यूजफुल नहीं है बट यू कैन डू दैट.
ओके.
Let's see, the another option is stretch entities. Again, I can stretch it directly, but option is there. So you can do that with the help of this option also. So uh, if you want to stretch this, you have to select three lines because this will be fixed. And from the point you want to pick this, it can be stretched anywhere. Simple. So these five tools are not as useful as I consider it because without it I can do anything. So after these options, next there are two features I'm explaining today. That is extruded boss and extruded cut. Let's see what they are. So now our sketch entities is almost complete. These tools, the remaining tools I am not explaining right now because in the uh, upcoming course these tools will be covered or I'll explain it later. These tools I can see there are few tools. You can see that display. and delete the relations. If you want to display the relations or if you want to delete the relations, you can use this icons or tools. Repair sketch. Whenever we find any sketch, like you can see if there are any gap between the points, this sketch is not closed and you can't extrude it directly. So this tool is pretty much useful to find out the gap between the points. Quick snap. As you can see, the points or point between the geometries, it automatically get snaps, so you can modify these snap points. Or this is the similar as the AutoCAD. Rapid sketch. This tool is useful when you create sketch directly on the like directly on the 3D objects. So if I have created any 3D object, you can directly sketch on the faces of that. This is also, you can say, the dynamic UCS in the form of AutoCAD. Instant 2D. If you want to change the 2D sketch without going in the edit sketch module, you can do it by the use of instant 2D. Or I'll also explain it later. Again, shaded sketch contours. As we know, we need a close contour to extrude or apply few features. So to make sure our sketch is close or not, we use this option. For example, this sketch is closed and now it is shaded. If I turn off this, it will not be shaded anymore. So we can verify that this is the close or not. So these are the tools. So I am taking a single sketch, closing it, and we have verified that it is closed. Now, edge or sketch get completed, we have to click on the exit sketch icon, or we can also click on the finish sketch icon. Both are the same. Click on this one. So we are out of the sketch module. Now there are the tools, but this option is not highlighted. Here there are no options, means we can move on the features tab. So in the features tab, there are a lot of features. These features are categorized in two types. First one is sketch based feature that is applied directly on the sketches. Second one is applied based feature that cannot be applied on the sketches, but a solid entity is required to apply that. For example, there is a tool like I can say the hole and the cell. So you cannot create a hole because there are no solid objects. So these are in the category of the applied based feature. So these are the tools that can be applied on the sketch. So these are the sketch based feature. So I am taking the first one. The sketch is right now selected. So if I click on the sketch extruded boss, we don't need to select this. Or if this sketch is unselected, we have to click on the extrude boss and then click on the sketch. Now this rectangle is like very big. Anyway, no problem. So what I'm doing is right now to explain it better. I'm turning on these planes first of all. So to turn the visibility on, click on the plane and show. Now we can see there is a sketch on the plane, top plane. If I click on the extruded boss and the sketch and the value of the extrusion, means a material is filling but in the direction of upside of this sketch plane, top plane, and the height of this we can change it from here, whatever height we want. We can also change the direction of this extrusion from this icon. There are lot of options. You can see direction 1, direction 2, thin feature, selected contours. I'll explain each of them. First one, like if I consider only direction 1, there are few options, and if I take or click on this blind, there are few options. These are the end conditions, means where the extrusion is going to be end. So first option is blind. Blind means we have to specify the value only, direct value. So whatever value you will put over here, the extrusion will be 800 long or 200 long, whatever you want. If I turn on the direction 2, I'll explain these options in a few minutes. Direction 2. So if I turn on this direction 2, as you can see, the value in the direction 2 also, there is an extrusion of 200. So the total extrusion is now 1000 mm total. If I click OK, this is the single body. There are no two bodies at all. If you think that 200 is 800 are different, no. This is the single body. It generally matters then how much we want it from the top direction and from the bottom direction. Let's see the other options. You will understand it easily. I'm creating another sketch. There is a technique in the SolidWorks that is called the multi-part modeling. Do you know about that? In the multi-part modeling, in the single part module or in the single template, we can create multiple solids, and these solids can be saved as a different parts. Hmm. As I have created a box, if you want to modify the sketch of this box or the feature, we have to click on the boss extrude. If you want to modify the feature, we have to click on the edit feature, or if you want to modify the sketch, click on the sketch, edit sketch. So I am modifying the feature right now. Let's see. I have explained about the direction 1 and the direction 2. Now again, to delete this one, I am deleting it, only the feature, and I am modifying the sketch. If in a single sketch, if you create multiple contours, like I am doing this right now, and there are gap between them, then after the extrusion, there will be multi-body. Go to the sketch contour, and if I deselect this or clear this section, you can see there are three bodies right now. Okay, let's see what happens. As you can see, solid bodies. The first body is there, second body is there, and the third body is there. So in the single module, we have created three bodies. So what I was going to explain is the end conditions of the extrude. So let's see. I want to create another sketch in the SolidWorks or in the any part model software, or I can say parametric software. Sketch can be created either on the planes that are existed by default or any flat faces. So if I take sketch, what I can select, I can select either these 3 points, three planes for a front, top, and right, or any flat face that is existed in this graphics area. So there are a lot of faces, like I can say top and down, both those two faces are there, six faces is there, six faces is here. So 6, 6 and 2. So it's around 14 faces is there. I can create a sketch. So I am choosing this one. Now this is automatically rotated normal to the screen. This option is not by default turned on in the SolidWorks. You can turn it on. If this option is not turned on in the SolidWorks, what you can do to make it normal to the screen, click on the screen, right click, and here is the option of the normal to.
हेलो सर, मेरी तरफ से वो स्क्रीन रुक गई है।
Hmm.
शो नहीं हो रही है, मतलब परफॉर्मेंस शो नहीं हो रही है। वो एक साइड एक जगह पर रुक गई है।
स्क्रीन बाकी सबके साथ भी ये प्रॉब्लम आ रही है क्या? आपके पास स्क्रीन आ रही है पूरी?
हाँ जी सर, मेरे पास आ रही है, और सारे जो भी आप करे हो सब क्लियरली शो हो रहा है सर।
मीन्स उनके यहाँ नेटवर्क प्रॉब्लम है, आपके यहाँ ही नेटवर्क प्रॉब्लम है, तो बाकी सबके साथ तो नहीं आ रही है प्रॉब्लम। एनीवे देखो, अगर ये स्क्रीन आप चाहते हो कि ऑटोमेटिकली ही स्क्रीन के नॉर्मल डायरेक्शन में रोटेट हो जाए, तो एक सिंपल टूल लिया था यहाँ पे, नॉर्मल टू किया था, और एक स्केच बनाने जा रहा हूँ यहाँ पे। स्केच से बाहर निकलने के लिए स्केच से बाहर गया, और अगेन अब देखो एक्सट्रूड। So in the blind I can put directly value, and if I change the blind conditions like through all, so the extrusion will be at the last surface of these bodies. So through all, hmm, you can see the last surface, the last point. The next option is up to next. Up to next means the next surface that can cover this sketch entity. I can show you up to next, but there are no bodies available here that can cover this sketch entity. So what I am doing is right now just creating one more sketch here to do this. So now if I extrude this sketch, and if I put up to next, then obviously the next surface will be this. So up to next is this mean, and next one is the up to vertex and the up to surface. In the both the options, we have to select one vertex or one surface that is going to work as a limit. So if I select this vertex, now the height of this extrusion will be controlled by this vertex. In the next, this there is a up to surface, means you have to select a surface. So if I select this surface, the limit of this extrusion will be extended to this surface. Again, offset from surface. Again, it is important. If you select this one, and if you select any face or any surface, you can put a gap value between these faces. Like if I put 10, means the gap between this surface and this surface is 10, you can increase it. Next, up to body. If there are multi bodies in this environment, you can use this option, otherwise not. So up to body, if you select any body like this one, but again this is not covering this one, so if you take this body, it will be extruded to this body. And mid plane, if you take mid plane, sketch entities will be extruded both side, but whenever you will choose mid plane, direction 2 option will no longer available here. So whenever you click the mid plane, whatever extrusion you will put, it will be distributed equally both sides. If you take 100, 50 on this side and 50 on this side. So again, there are one more tool I am going to explain right now, that is extruded cut. I'll explain other features tomorrow, but in the extruded cut, as you can understand, whenever when the extruded boss tool is used to create material, this tool is used to remove the material. So what we have to do is create a close sketch and select the sketch. Hmm. Again, the tools are the same. If you take blind and if you put any specific value like 30, 40, so there will be a cut of 30 depth. There is no limitation of creating sketches. You can create any type of sketch anywhere on the faces. Like I am taking this face and I am creating a random sketch over here. Spline and exit sketch. You can also cut it out. Extrude cut. If I take through all, it will go through all and it is cut. So simple tool, if you create a circle, you can create hole directly. And again, the whole options like circles on this side. Extrude cut. If I take mid plane, so cut is at the both side. You can change the display options to see it clearly. Display options can be changed with this tool. First one is shaded with edges, so you can see all the edges over here. Shaded without edges. This the hole was not through at all, so I will modify it, no problem at all. Third one is, and the this one is with the hidden lines, and this one is with the without the hidden lines. Hidden lines removed. So as you can see, hidden lines means there is a hole, a wireframe. So these are the display options. You if you want to make or change the extrusion, you can change it. 20. So now this hole is through hole for this one. And if you want to modify the sketch of this one, as you know, we have turned on the sketch 2D right now here. So if you click on any sketch, you can modify it directly, but only in the case you have defined it. But if you haven't defined it, you can't modify it right away. For example, I'm taking it editing it. First one, you will see the magic of this tool. If I have defined this one, 31. Okay, so now it is defined. Hmm. Now what if I want to modify this? We don't need to go and in the edit sketch mode. Just click on this one, and you can see the dimension over here. Because of the instant 2D, we can modify 2D sketches instantly. Double click on this one and directly 40. So